Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We have been considering that marvelous Sutra on Prakriti 2.18, and now we have come to the part of the Sutra which is the Sutra of Cosmology. It's called Vishwa Prasuti Mimamsa. So it's a topic of metaphysics. Cosmology is the subject of metaphysics. And therein Patanjali has extremely briefly, absolutely briefly described the principle of cosmology. Bhutendriyatmakam. So this Prakriti or Drushya is Bhutendriyatmakam. Now, Bhutendriyatmakam means the entire creation here, the infinite creation called Brahmanda or the Vishwa or the universe. The universe is either Bhautika or Indriyatmaka. In other words, either sentient or insentient, or Jada and Chetana. So this is how we understand the universe. It's a functional classification that nothing in this universe is without Jadata and Chetanata. Either it is Bhautika or Bhutatmaka Srushti or Indriyatmaka Srushti. Indriyatmaka means the signature condition of living beings. Living beings always have senses. They have external, internal senses. That's a sign of living creation. And therefore, Patanjali begins by saying it is Bhutendriyatmaka Srushti. And the Bhautika Srushti is Sthula Prithivya Tanmatrani Sukshma Prithivya. So that and Mahat Ahamkara or these Tattvas of Prakriti. And the other one is Indriyatmaka Srushti. So Vijnana Bhiksha in Tattva Vaisharadi says, Mahabhutani Sthula Prithivya Tanmatrani Sukshma Prithivya Mahad Ahamkaro Sukshmendriyam Ekadashasya Sthula Indriyani. So we have Sthula Indriyas and Sukshma Indriyas on one hand, and then Sthula Bhutas and Sukshma Bhutas on the other hand. And this is how the whole creation, Brahmanda, Vishwa, is manifesting. The whole Prakriti means what? The Bhautikata, that is Sthula Sukshma Bhautikata, and Indriyatmakata, that is Sthula Sukshma Indriyarthakata. Sthula Indriyas are the 10 organs, na-Karmendriyas, and the mind, 11th sense. So the 11 are Sthula Indriyas, and then we have Sukshma Indriyas called Antahkaranam. So all the living beings have external senses and internal senses. That is Indriyatmaka Srushti. And Bhautika Srushti is either gross Bhautika Srushti or subtle Bhautika Srushti. So Bhikshu clearly classifies mind in Sthula Indriyas. And Buddhi and Ahamkara as Sukshma Indriyas, because we know that Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara are the three internal organs posited by the Sankhyas and Patanjalas. Amongst that, Vijnana Bhikshu clearly classifies Manas as the gross one, because there is also mention of Ekadasha Inriyani. There are 11 Indriyas. Karmendriya 5, Jnanendriya 5 and Manas. So that is 11 Indriyas. So the 11 Indriyas are gross and Manas, Ahankar, Buddhi and Ahamkara are the subtle. This is how he has counted. While in another interpretation of Mani Prabha, Dashendriya are Sthula. They are Indriya Paranamas of the Sthula nature, of the gross nature. And Antahkarana Traya, the triad of Antahkaranam, Manas, Buddhi, Ahankar, are Sukshma Paranamas of Indriya. So, you will find this difference between Vijnana Bhikshu's interpretation and the interpretation that is of some other commentators, such as Mani Prabhakara. So Mani Prabhakara says, Bhutani Sthulani Tanmatrani. Sthula Sukshma Bhutas are Bhautik Srushti. Inriyani na-Karmendriyani Dasha. Buddhi Ahamkara Manansi Antahkaranani. So Trini Antahkaranani, Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara are subtle Indriyas. This is what Mani Prabha commentary will be telling us. Nagoji Bhatta in his Chaya Vritti follows Vijnana Bhikshu, and therefore he, endorsing with Vijnana Bhikshu's standpoint, he says, Mahadankara Rupa Sukshmendriya Kadasha Sthula Indriya Rupena Parinamadi Indriyatmakam. So hope you have understood the two interpretations that you get in classical texts. One is of Vijnana Bhikshu, the other one of Mani Prabha. So, the Nagoji Bhatta in his Chaya Vritti follows Vijnana Bhikshu, and in entire text of Nagoji Bhatta called Chaya Vritti, he is endorsing Vijnana Bhikshu's viewpoints. The point is that Bhutendriya Sanghata, collocation of Bhutendriyas, is how the manifestation of Prakriti is. And there you will see that there is Prakashashilata, Kriyashilata and Sthitishilata. So the Antahkarana Traya has Prakasha Kriya Sthiti-shilatvam. And this Nagoji Bhatta clarifies in his Laghu Vritti. He says, Sthula Sukshma Bhutas, causally they are of gunas. Causally they are of gunas. And therefore there is Sthitishilata primarily to be found, such as rock, boulders. So we see that there is Sthitishilata in them. We don't see the boulders moving, mountains moving, rocks moving. So there is Sthitishilata. And if there is Sthitishilata of Tamoguna, it implies that there are also minuscule Sattva Rajagunas, because the gunas always coexist. Then in Sthula Dashendriyas of Indriyatmaka Srushti, there is more Kriyashilata. There is preponderance of Kriyashilata, which is Rajoguna. And Antahkaranam has Sattvashilata primarily. In any case, all the three gunas are coexisting. But the internal senses are more prakashatmaka, bahyendriyas are more kriyatmaka, and jadasrushti, inert, insentient creation, is primarily of sthitishilata. So that's how you can identify sattva rajatama gunas in the creation that unfolds in prakriti vyapara. So Nagoji Bhatta in his Laghu clearly says, Tatra sthula sukshma bhuta karanattvena sthitishīlatvam sthula dashendriya hetutvat kriyashīlatvam Antahkarana rupa sukshmendriya hetutvat prakashashīlatvam. So he allocates the three gunas in the sense of preponderance in Bhutendriyatmaka srushti. So, the guna swabhava is identified by Nagoji Bhatta in his Chaya Vritti. And again, it is to endorse the Satkaryavada of the Sankhyas. Sankhyas are Satkaranavadi. So, whatever is in the cause comes down into the effect. And he divulges how the Prakriti as a causal material and the creation as effective part of it or effect thereof, sattva raja tama gunas can be identified. Then, so that is what this part of the sutra, which is the penultimate part of the sutra, is telling us Bhutendriyatmakam. And this is the brief mention of Bhutendriyatmakata. Can you identify anything in the universe which is either not made up of gross or subtle elements or the Indriyatmakata? So either the universe is filled up or is completely subsumed of the nature of Jadata and Chetanata. Jada Chaitanyam, both are occupying the universe. There is no part of the universe which is bereft of these two. There will be either elements or elements for the inert part of the universe and Indriyatmakata for the living part of universe. So, this is what the Bhutendriyatmakata is mentioning. At this juncture, let me tell you, we think that the life exists only on our planet. This is the view of even modern science, that the life is only on planet. And we believe that there is no living creation outside the planet, the earth here. Even the moon, we say there is no life. Mars, no life. Mercury, no life. Venus, no life. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, no life. Sun, no life. So, this is the view of physicists, or the physical sciences have this view that the life is only on planet, but the metaphysicists have some other view, and that is to be taken note of. The metaphysicists say that the Atmatvam or Chaitanyam or Chetanata is all over the universe, not on this paltry dust particle Earth, because the Earth is just comparable to a dust particle in our galaxy, Milky Way. And then it is believed that only there is life here and nowhere else. And the fact of the matter that we should understand, being students of metaphysics, our kind of life only exists on our planet. That doesn't mean that there is no life on other planets. That's why you should recall that the Atma has been discussed and described as something that cannot be burnt, that cannot be wetted, that cannot be dried. So this description comes in Bhagavad Gita. Avyakto ayam achintyo ayam avikaro ayam uchyate. And then it says, so it is avikari, avyakta, nominal. We can see the life, but we cannot see the principle of life. So we get the confusion here. We see the life, but we do not see the principle of life. Because principle of life is nominal and the life is phenomenal. So Atma Tattva is pervading the entire universe. So metaphysicists will tell us our kind of life exists on our planet, and then perhaps it doesn't exist in solar system elsewhere. That's why you will not find a life on other planets of the solar system, and then you will rule out any life on sun. Our kind of life cannot exist on the sun. But that doesn't mean that there is no life on the sun. This is the view of metaphysicists. And that is why Atma cannot be burnt. Now if Atma is something, the self is something that it cannot be burnt, what's the problem in that existing on the sun? It can very well exist on the sun. So, the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita has told us about the metaphysical status of the Atma Tattvam. So, let me quote that to you here, because it is very pertinent to understand what the metaphysicists are postulating. So the Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter says thus. The 2.20 of Bhagavad Gita says, Na jayate mriyate va kadachinnayam bhutva bhavitavan bhuyaha ajo dityaha shashvato ayam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The self, the Atma Tattva, is never born, whereas the life we consider is always born. We cannot conceive any life not being born, not even as an exception. Life means there is a birth and life means there is death. So we cannot imagine a life having no birth and death. But the metaphysicists tell us the Atma is never born, nor does it die, nor does it become only after being born. It is always there. There is no need of birth for life to come into existence. It is ever existent. It is unborn, eternal, everlasting, free from birth, decay. Then how and whom will he cause to be killed, or how and whom will he kill? This is what Bhagavad Gita tells us. Bhagavan Sri Krishna tells in the second chapter. Then, what do we see in this life? We see that we have a body. We do not see a bodiless life. The life will always have a body. And then the body comes by birth, body decays by age, and the body dies. So Bhagavad Gita says these are only clothes of the self. The body is a clothing over the self. The clothing is impermanent. The clothing comes and goes. The clothing is new and clothing is old. The cloth will become new, will be new and will become old. So it is only clothing to which we refer as life. So we refer to body of animate and we say this is life. Yes, that is life, but the principle of life is something immanently there, and what you refer to is only a body of it, it's a clothing of it, a clothing over the principle of life. And then what is this death phenomenon? Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani gruhnani naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnan nanyani sanyati navani dehi. As man shedding worn out garments takes other new ones, likewise the embodied Atma, Purusha Tattva, casting off worn out bodies, enters into other new bodies. So this is how the metaphysics tells us. This is what metaphysics of Bhagavad Gita is telling us. Then in 2.23, nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayanti apo, na shoshayati marutaha. Achedyo ayam adayyo ayam, akledyo ayam ashocha evacha, nityaha sarvagataha sthanur, chalo ayam sanatanaha. So weapons cannot cut it, nor can the fire burn it. The water cannot wet it, nor can the wind dry it. And for this, the Atma is incapable of being cut. It is proof against fire and impervious to water, undryable as well. Thus, this Atma is eternal, omnipresent, immovable, constant and everlasting. So here we get the clue to what I just now said, that even the sun has life, moon has life, all the stars can have life. It is not our kind of life, but there are different kinds of life, because the Atma Tattvam is omnipresent. It is everywhere. So how is it possible that it is not somewhere? Like we say, there is no life. So we refer to biological life of the planet. But Atma is something which is metaphysical principle. It will take different kinds of bodies. On the sun, it will have fiery body. So if we think that those temperatures will not sustain the body, they will not sustain our bodies of the planet. But it doesn't mean that they do not have any kind of body. There will be fiery body to be on sun, fiery body to be on planets, which have temperatures ranging to 40,000-50,000 Celsius or even more. So the life is all-pervasive. So metaphysicists do not endorse the view that there is no life there. There is no life elsewhere. This is not endorsed by metaphysicists, which is the view of biologists, terrestrial biologists. So they will say there is life in the water, there is life on the earth, surface of the earth, land surface of the earth. But there is life everywhere, because there are those kinds of bodies. The soul itself is something which is proof against any damage. It is indestructible, nothing can destroy it. So what is the point in the self not being on the sun. It is indestructible, so the sun cannot destroy it. Stars cannot destroy it. So therefore there are pancha mahabhutatmak shariram. The fiery body will not be burnt in fire because the body itself is fiery. Airy body will not be blown away or dried out by wind because it's a airy body. So there will be akashatmaka deha, vaivyatmaka deha, tejomayatmaka deha, up Tattvasmaka deha and Prithivyaatmaka deha. These are 5 elements, and therefore there will be such bodies so that any self can be anywhere, taking a proper kind of embodiment. So this is the view of metaphysicists, which is not the view of modern science, not the view of biologists. So this is something that we need to take note of as philosophical students or students of philosophy, which says Bhutendriyatmaka srushti. The whole boundless creation really contains life, Atma Tattva. So later we will be seeing how different kinds of lives are mentioned in metaphysics. We will be dealing with it in a later part of Patanjali's text, where Chaturdasha Bhuvanas are mentioned, the 14 planes of cosmos. And in all the 14 planes, there are suitable kind of life forms. Even on the planet Earth, we know that life is sustained by oxygen. But there is life on the planet which is sustained by carbon dioxide. And then it exhales oxygen. We know the botanical world. Botanical world will be depending on carbon dioxide, and otherwise the life form is not sustained by carbon dioxide but sustained by oxygen. So on the planet itself we have 2 kinds of lives, which is quite fascinating, that some life forms thrive on carbon dioxide and then eject and give away oxygen, while we intake oxygens, live on oxygens and turn out carbon dioxide. So even on the planet we have 2 kinds of lives, which will be interesting to note. So that is the Bhutendriyatmaka srushti. The whole boundless universe is totally occupied by either Bhautika srushti and Indriyatmaka srushti, both. So Bhutendriyatmakam is what Patanjali is mentioning. So this is the penultimate part of the sutra, Prakasha Kriya Sthiti Shilam, the nature of Prakriti, intrinsic inherent nature of the Prakriti. Then second part is Bhutendriyatmakam, so which just now was discussed. And now come to the last part of it, which is Bhoga Apavargartham. Now that's the third part of the sutra. So the whole cosmology is for the purpose of life. Bhoga Apavargarthata are Purusharthas. They are ends for Atma Tattva. Either there should be Bhoga or there must be Apavarga. So that is, they are called Purushartha. And therefore the whole universe is for life principle. If the whole universe is not meant for life, again I repeat, it is our kind of life. Our kind of life will perish on planets, Mercury, Venus, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, etc. But there will be some kind of life there. Because life principle can take any kind of embodiment. So it will take either Parthiva embodiment or the up Tattvatmaka embodiment, or Teja Tattvatmaka, or Vayu Tattvatmaka, or Prithvi Tattvatmaka. Prithvi, Ap, Tej, Vayu, Akash. And therefore it can stand any condition. It does stand any condition. Every part of universe is residence worthy for Purusha Tattva. Although it is not residence worthy for biological creation of this planet, there is definitely life everywhere, elsewhere as well. This is a marvelous contribution of metaphysics and the metaphysicists. And it is for prayojanam. Because otherwise we think that many things are useless. We think we would have done the same way, it would have been okay the same way had there been no Mercury or had there been no Andromeda. So we think that most of the things are useless in the universe. If you look at the sky at night, the boundless space, the 2,000 million stars for naked eyes, we don't see any purpose there for us. This is what we think. We do not know how are they related to us. In what way they are contributing to us, this is not known. But the environmentology of metaphysicists postulate that everything is for even our purpose. A dust particle on Mars is for our purpose. A pebble on the Mars or Moon or Pluto or Neptune, it is for our purpose. And this beautifully comes up in the Chamakam of Rudra Prashna. So we think the Graha Nakshatras have no role for us for no role for us, and they are useless. We can do without them. We do not have complete view of environmentology. What is their purpose in the universe for us? We are not aware of it. The point is, the whole universe doesn't have even microscopic particle as waste. Not only it is not waste, it is of purpose. And it is a very fundamental purpose for Purusha Tattva. So, another aspect of this cosmology is that it is there for the purpose of Atma Tattva. That is called Purusharthata. Purushartha and Purusharthata. That is Bhoga Apavarga Arthata, which is Patanjali's classification. That there are two arthas, purposes for Purusha. Atma Tattva, Purusha Tattva needs Bhogam or Apavargam. And therefore, the last part of the sutra says, Bhoga Apavargartham Drushyam. So the entire Guna Vyapara, Sattva Rajatama Gunas, there are various kinds of interactions, interplays and manifestations thereof. They are all for the purpose of Purusha Tattva. Nothing is redundant from the point of view of purpose of Purusha, Atma Tattva. It may not be having purpose for you, but it has purpose for Atma Tattva, which is all-pervasive, which is everywhere in the universe. No part of the universe is without the purpose of Atma Tattva and Atma Tattva itself, because we have seen it is Sarva Vyapaka. It is all-pervasive. That means it is everywhere. It is occupying every micro square millimeter area of the universe. And it has a purpose. So that is what the metaphysicists are telling us here. And Patanjali as a metaphysicist is telling about this, that the whole cosmos has a purpose. And that is called teleology in metaphysics. Teleology means purposefulness. So it has this postulation that nothing is waste. Insofar as Purusha Tattva is concerned, everything has purpose for the Purusha Tattva. Nothing has no purpose for Purusha Tattva. Not even microscopic particle is purposeless for Purusha Tattva. So there is nothing nishprayojaka. So Vyasa tells us about this part of the sutra. Nanu na prayojanam apitu prayojanam urarikritya pravartata iti bhoga apavargartham hi tadrusham purushasya iti. What does he say? He says this entire guna vyapara on cosmic scale, it is not prayojana rahita, it is not without purpose. It is saprayojaka, it is with purpose. As a matter of fact, it is for the purpose itself. It exists because of the purpose itself. Purposiveness itself is keeping it existent. It is for prayojana siddhi. Now what is this prayojana siddhi? Purusharthata, apavargarthata of the Purusha. So either there are two purposes for Purusha Tattva, bhogarthata, apavargarthata. So every tiniest particle of Prakriti is for both. It can give you bhoga, it can give apavarga. When I say it can give you, means Atma. For Atma, it will give bhogam as well as apavargam. It is not that something is for only bhoga and something is for only apavarga. No. That's not the classification in metaphysics. Anything and everything will have two radiations. One is to give experience to Atma Tattva and the other one is to give emancipation to Atma Tattva. That is the bhoga apavarga arthata. So it should not be mistaken that something is meant for bhoga and then something else is meant for apavarga. So part of creation is for bhoga and other part of creation is for apavarga. No, that won't be a proper stand. Everything has two potentials. It will give bhoga as well as apavarga. Every particle is capable of giving both. You can get both. What to take is in your hands. It will give both. So that is another thing that should be noted. Otherwise, we tend to have this kind of understanding that something is useful for me and something is not useful for me, it is useful for someone else. Because everything is of not use for us that is in the cosmos. This is what we feel. We don't need everything in this boundless cosmos. We want something from this cosmos. And then something else is wanted by someone else. Like in a super shopping mall, everything is not wanted by you. Different people want different things and therefore there is a shopping mall, super shoppy. So many things you don't look at them because you don't want it. But you only know that this will be wanted by someone else. I don't want it, but someone else will want it. Therefore it is in the super shopping mall. It is available. I don't need it, someone else needs it. So we think we need certain things, someone else needs some other things. And therefore something is useless for us and something is useless for the other one. What is useful for ant as a life form and what is useful for you? So what is useless for you perhaps is useful for it, and what is useless for it is perhaps useful for you. So it is not that way that for the use of different atmas, all this variety is there. Every minuscule particle has both things to offer. Bhogarthata, Apavargarthata. So this again is a great enlightenment to us as the students of philosophy, because we see so many things in the world useless for us. It is of no use for us. And we know it is for use for someone else. Something else needs it. I don't need it. I don't want it. Someone else wants it. And therefore we think as the varieties are there in the creation, or varieties are there in the shopping mall to cater the needs of different people, cater the wants of different people. The universe is a huge shopping mall for all living creation. Where the ant goes, we may not go. What ant consumes, we will not consume. What reptiles will consume, we will not consume. So our consumptions are different. As a human being, we have certain conditions, certain consumptions within ourselves. We consume something which other people don't consume, and we don't consume what the other people consume. So therefore we think that this is a marketplace for every kind of life to have what they want. No, that is not the case. Every minuscule particle is with usefulness of the nature of Bhoga or Apavarga. So this is what the metaphysicists give us the view of the creation. So now the moot question is, what is Bhogam and what is Apavargam? What is Bhogarthata and what is Apavargarthata? We need to understand this. So this part of the sutra entails this kind of search and research as to what is Bhoga and what is Apavarga. So now that is what we have to explore, understand as to what is Bhoga, what is Apavarga in the point of view of metaphysicists and Patanjali. So we will have to look into that matter. What is Bhoga and what is Apavarga? But we will continue that in our next session. Enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.